Boom shakalaka, mother huggers!
Episode 14.
Sure, it's been a long time coming, I must say.
We've been stuck on episode 13 for like going on 3 months now.
Something like that.
A lot's happened. Glad to be back. Glad to get off the number 13.
It's a tough one, eh? A tough nut to crack.
I think it's that superstitious number that, and also having lots of shit happening in between the last episode and this episode from our lives.
Yeah.
We've been some busy bees, right?
We have. We've been a couple of busy bumblebees, haven't we?
But good to be back. And yeah, awesome to have this opportunity to communicate with you, Dane, once again. Awesome to be here.
Yeah, very cool. Very cool.
What are we talking about today?
I believe that today we're going to be touching on the topic of Jamal Khashoggi, that Washington Post journalist that was murdered. Was it at the Saudi consulate in Turkey that it occurred? Yeah,
in Istanbul. Yeah, very interesting story. It's been going viral the last few days. A lot of background layers to this. I'm thinking it's gonna escalate. Like, it seems like Erdogan, the president of Turkey, wants to get to the bottom of this. Like, he wants people to pay for this, and it seems to be leading all the way to this prince guy in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah, who's the current kind of Saudi leader, right? Because his dad's the king, but he's kind of running stuff. Is that what's happening?
Yeah, I think his dad's not doing quite well, like health-wise. He's quite old, and this guy's taken over, and he's the king basically, but technically still the prince. But I think he's had the power for a while now, and then on the other hand, you have the Americans going on about this arms deal.
Yeah, mainly Trump going on about the arms deal, right?
Well, he's got this big arms deal, the biggest one that's ever happened between Saudi Arabia and America with weapons. I know here in Germany, they've said, okay, hold on, we're going to stop exporting weapons now to Saudi Arabia until this is all cleared up. I'm not sure if fair enough. They're making a stand, but I don't know if this is going to go away that quickly. I know, and I think Saudi Arabia is just going to get, if they're not going to get it from America or Germany, they're going to get the weapons from somewhere else,
Yeah. It's very strange, because when you encounter these kind of high profile, like, political crimes, like, as you said, it's not going to be just a quick thing that passes. Like, these things take ages. It could be years. It could be like multiple years until they get to the bottom of this. Like, enough investigation happens, and they manage to get the perpetrators fingered and put into a court, into like a room, and a judge to say, hey, like, what's going on here,
I think, and even if, like, they do find like a culprit or somebody that's going to like take the blame for all of this, it's not going to be, there's always going to be a little question mark of, like, is this the real guy who perpetrated like this kind of crime? Because I think what the Saudi guy is going to do is to prove that he's going to be directly responsible for this is like going to be very difficult, So he's just going to put like loads of obstacles in the way of that. And at the end of the day, he's probably going to come out tainted, like he is already. But to actually prove that he like ordered this hit, I don't know if that's going to happen. Like, I don't see it happening.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's... Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, to start at the beginning, should we do that? Like, just in case no one has any background on what we're talking about here.
Sure. Like, it broke, like, what, 2-3 weeks ago, where...
Yeah.
This guy... Yeah, he is a Saudi citizen, but he had been living in America, working for the Washington Post for a while.
Yeah, he was a permanent American resident. He had full-on residency. So
okay,
yeah,
and he was in Istanbul at the Saudi embassy to pick up some papers for his marriage.
Yeah.
And then, there's pictures or images, video of him going into the consulate, but none of him coming out. And then, Erdogan kind of like broke the story to Reuters, saying that there's this journalist that went into the Saudi consulate and hasn't come out yet, And ever since then, it's just been escalating, and Saudi government have come out with one story after the next, kind of either confirming or kind of like deflecting or
like the first was complete denial of anything.
I think the first thing was like, no, he left through the back entrance, and then the cameras at the back entrance weren't working, and they were just like, and then Erdogan's like, well, okay, but you can't just say now he left through the back, like, I mean, and also he's got a bit of a, well, generally Turkey, Saudi Arabia has got loads of history. So he's also like, there's that whole Turkish lira economic crisis that's been happening, which is this is for him like brilliant, because it's like taking away from the economy of the country. And he's once again, portraying himself as a hero in, like, I don't know, the average Turkish person's eyes, because he's like standing up for like this apparent blatant kind of like injustice that has happened, and going after this bad guy from Saudi Arabia. They really got a tense relationship, and then so it's fallen into his hands beautifully. And I don't think whoever signed this off, I don't think they expected this kind of reaction, because I'm thinking maybe this has been going on for like ages, and it's just like, something's come to a head where this time it's a little bit different. And the whole Western media has also gotten involved in it, because people are like, it's on the front page of every newspaper basically.
How do you mean it's potentially been going on for a while, this sort of thing? Like, do you mean like within Saudi Arabia, and maybe the fact that it's at a consulate in another country, it's a bit bigger? Or
no, I would assume that this kind of thing has been happening for years. This the whole cloak and dagger kind of like spy games or whatever, and with like murders that we've never heard about, which has been covered up, and maybe it was in Turkey's best interest not to break it, or whichever government, there were like political things going on that the story didn't break. But I think certain things have aligned for this particular murder that have broken the story, and now it can't just be the only one now. I mean, like, there's also evidence that's come out of like a big team that like flew in from Saudi Arabia. There's like members of the prince's personal security attaché that have like come in to sort this out. Like, you also see videos of them going into the embassy, and then it's like, and then there's this body double thing.
That's a weird one. Like, the 15 Oaks connected to this have ties to like the Saudi like national defense that, and as you said, like the kind of personal relations with the prince himself, and that kind of implicates in a way, not to say it's a definite, but it's like there's strong evidence that there is like high up political kind of connection going on there with this prince dude.
And it's happening in like a consulate, it's like
yeah,
the balls you have to pull something like this off, surely this doesn't come out of the blue. There must be other like cases like this, but anyway, this is the case that's probably going to, like, I don't know, be the tipping point, and who knows, we might find out about more cases. But
this body double that you mentioned, like that's quite crazy, hey? Like, because I was watching some news reports a little bit earlier today, and they were talking about they didn't yet have like the smoking gun, to say it was definitely premeditated, but as soon as you have a body double involved, like they were talking about, most of those 15 dudes were like 20-30 years old, like in that kind of age group, but they brought along this like 57-year-old dude that has the same body type as the victim, and the dude put on like the victim's clothing afterwards, but the shoes didn't fit, so he wore his own shoes, and that was like the tell that, like, okay, so that isn't him, and also his hair was different, but like, I don't know, that, yeah, and the fact that he was caught on camera afterwards, and there's a whole thing of like they followed him through Turkey to like different spots. They went to like a high traffic tourist destination to kind of get lost in the crowd, and then they followed them into like some restaurants where he changed his clothes again, like out of those clothes into his own clothes again, and they ditched the clothes in like a dumpster behind. It's like premeditated as fuck, to put it bluntly.
Nuts. It's like they've done this before, and now just because like somehow Erdogan is like using this as a deflection, kind of like from whatever problems he's having, like in the political kind of sphere in Turkey, people have now become aware of it, and it's like mind blowing. It's like, I can't believe this is happening. This is like usually stuff that you see in like a movie or something.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
And the thing is, like, so what's it going to lead to? Like I don't know. I don't think there's probably going to be like a guy that's going to take the fall and be like, oh yeah, I did that, and maybe he's got like, I don't know, like some kind of like terminal illness, and the prince was like, well, we'll sort your family out for many generations, just do this,
or something more sinister, like we'll kill your kids or do this,
whatever. We'll never know. But I think the prince is pretty untouchable. I mean, he's the prince of Saudi Arabia. He's got like super amounts of like powers, and to get to him, I just don't see that happening. But it does like kind of like, beg the question, somebody definitely slipped up, and it must have been him, because surely if he's the guy behind this, like, then he's not doing his job properly, like, I'm not saying that Saudi princes' jobs are to, like, I don't know, well, it is a kind of tyrannical, what is it? Is it a dictatorship? Monarchy?
Yeah, some sort of monarchy thing.
I mean, they have got some serious controversial things happening, like, what they've been doing to Yemen, for example. But anyway, I mean, shit's gone down. There's been a fuck up, and we want like answers.
Yeah,
not sure we're gonna get them. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know if that's gonna happen. What really kind of twists my nipples though is like Donald Trump, just his kind of response to it is like, I don't know if it's the guy's nationality and race that makes him feel this way, but he's like, yeah, we're not gonna like stop this deal going through. It's hundreds of billions of dollars, worth of like in this arms deal that they're doing with Saudi, and like if it was somebody else, if it was like his son-in-law or something, there'd be like issues, you know, like Jared Kushner or whatever, or if it was like one of his family members, or if it was some billionaire that like he was mates with, like it would be a different story, I reckon. But because it's like I know I'm like implicated, or I'm assuming, yeah, but like I reckon just because it's someone like a member of a group that he doesn't like, a journalist for one, he hates journalists unless they're like rubbing his back, and just the fact that it's not like a white dude, like he's like it doesn't matter, you know, like I'm still gonna make this deal go through. And
I know, like I mean, at the end of the day, like, you know, he always said he was like this great businessman, you know, and like he's talking like a true businessman, like even with this, you know, like what you're gonna. Now, I'm not defending him. I'm just saying, like, so my whole thing is to put America first, and here I have like this deal that I've like, you know, I've broken with this guy and brokered, and then hundreds of billions of dollars, and now all of a sudden there's a lot of allegedness going on. Like, fair enough. Even if they had to say, look here, Donald, we have proof that the prince, like he's the one responsible for all of this.
Yeah.
Like even then he'd still be like, yeah, but the 100 billion, you know, like, you know, which is kind of like the state that we're in at the moment, you know, where like, it's all about those Benjamins, you know what I mean? It's like, whereas surely we should be having some kind of like, I don't know, like a moral kind of like based economy. The world doesn't work like that. I mean, we're talking about money, like dollars at the end of the day, and like, I don't know, even his like fan base will probably be like, yeah, well, I agree with him, you know, like,
yeah.
And I think don't you think he's starting to grow on people?
Maybe like I know I shouldn't like say, I shouldn't expect anything less from him, you know, like it should just be it's just that's expected. But with you saying like maybe he's growing on people, like that could be a case there. I mean, there's a lot of like I read a couple of articles just saying that he's been good for America's economy, just because it's kind of like on the upswing at the moment, like regarding jobs and I don't know, some of that economical business. But like I also read some conflicting articles saying it has been on the upswing for a while, and he's just kind of riding on the coattails of what has been the kind of direction of the graph, you know. But obviously, when it comes to him, it's like, I'm doing this, look what I'm doing, and that kind of like parading in the public space, like that does like pay off. People believe it. They'll believe something they see in the media. So yeah, I don't know. I think he definitely is growing on some people, but like at the same time, there's like, I think there's a very strong backlash from a lot of different places, not only like the opposition, like parties, but I think from people within like his own kind of like the Republican Party and stuff like that. I think people that you'd expect to be backing him are also like, you know, maybe this is a bit suspect.
Yeah, I know. It's just like the way he talks, like you can't help not to just like hear him out, you know, because he doesn't seem to have like any kind of like filter on him, which one is used to hearing from from politicians. Like, for example, here in Germany, if you hear politicians talk, most of the time, they're very politically correct, you know, as most politicians are. And I think over here, there's also kind of like a new party, which is like getting more kind of like followers, because I think this, you know, this typical politician in his suit kind of thing, which, Donald Trump obviously wears a suit or whatever, but I would say he's typical in that regard, but I would say that he's not typical with some, like the way he expresses himself with his words. You know what I mean? Like he hasn't got that filter. He's got like a kind of a, well, I'm just going to say that, and he doesn't really think about it. Whereas, you know, there's so many politicians out there that have like their team behind them, which kind of like gives them something to say. Then they say it, and you're not actually getting an opinion from this person, like his true opinion. You're getting some kind of like party line. And I think that's also the case with DT. But I think that, you know, some of his tweets, for example, or some of his comments, where you'd be like, well, I just didn't expect that to come out of the mouth of the president of America, you know, like, and that's why I think people are kind of like growing, like he's growing on them, I think, because, and just obviously he's got his base, whatever, but people are kind of like, they want a little bit, I think maybe they see him as being like impulsive, or kind of like, I don't know, like says what's on his mind, and he doesn't worry about being like politically correct, even though he should.
But he does that so much to a degree that he's like consistently contradictory, you know? He'll it depends like what mood he's in or something. But the fact that he's consistent with it, that makes it normal. So people aren't like, where the fuck does this guy get off saying that? It's just like, oh, it's Donald Trump. Yeah, of course he's going to say something like that. And so that just makes it like this almost acceptable norm, which is, you know, like it shouldn't be like that.
Very strange.
It's extremely strange. And the thing is this, like when people like were telling me, or sharing on Facebook or wherever people share shit, YouTube, whatever, and like on certain social medias, people were saying like there's some people that were like, Donald Trump is a good thing, and like I still chat to people today, and some people are like, yeah, he's like a good, like he's getting shit done, you know, like I don't know, like I'm currently of the thought that one of the biggest positives about him becoming president is that we can see more clearly what's wrong. Like he's shining a light on like what is, like how it shouldn't be done, and like maybe that'll give everybody a little bit more clarity, like because with
next time.
Yeah, or for the next president, if the next president is normal, you know, like he's just a little bit, in a way he's a little bit more transparent, but it is very muddy still, because he's such a flip-flopper, you know. You don't know what what mood he's in, and like how things are going to be. But like just like with his blatant, like, why would we prevent $100 billion deal because of one person being killed? Like, and he's like, he listed like the companies like Lockheed, like all these companies that are gonna lose out in this deal. He lists all these companies, and like no leader would do that. Like in the past, they'd come up with some like thumbsuck story of like, you know, why it can't be done. But he's pretty clear about like, I want the money to happen. You know, that's what he wants.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like compared to normal politician talk, which is just like blah blah blah. Let me just try and get around your question and then divert it with whatever, and not really. He kind of like gets right to the point, and he's just like, okay, this is how I feel, or this is how we feel, or whatever. Which you got to give him some kind of like kudos for, because we just haven't. I haven't seen it before. Like, I wouldn't say I'm a political observer or whatever, but I'm just like an average guy, and we see politicians kind of like talking on TV, and most of the time it's like you're just like trying to avoid the question.
But that doesn't take away from, like, I hear that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that he's like the biggest narcissistic arsehole that is in the public sphere. Like he's
and he takes up so much like space, like
shit.
Media space. Like I kind of feel bad for even like talking so much about him, but
totally, man.
I mean, we haven't done it in the past, and we actively avoided talking about DT in the past just because he is talked about everywhere. But I suppose it had to happen sometime, so we might as well get it out of our system.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy, man. Like, I've even thought, like, is he? Like, there's always this kind of conspiracy of like, the president isn't actually doing that much, and he's kind of just a front, and like shit goes on in the background, like this kind of shadow government shit, or like some Illuminati 1% is doing shit in the background. Like, if that conspiracy was true, like, Trump is a great candidate for that, because he takes the limelight and he like brings that focus onto himself, and like he loves that shit. So it's like, obviously they'd choose this dude that just is like camera hungry and fucking just wants to like speak his bullshit mind constantly, like, because that's going to be in the news every day, and you're not going to see like the whatever those shadowy figures do in the background. Like,
because like, those guys try and avoid that at all costs. I mean, they're like the puppet masters. They don't want to be like in the limelight, and they don't want to be revealed. So
for sure,
I mean, for them, that's, if the conspiracy is correct, somebody like this is like perfect, because they just keep on maintaining the status quo. But then, it's like, how deep down into the rabbit hole do you want to go? Like with conspiracies, it's always, it's like there's so many out there, and then it's nice to talk about them, but there's not many. That the one that we're talking about right now, I could get on board with.
Yeah.
But there's a lot out there where I'd be like, no. But then I can't prove it. I can't prove that the royal families aren't lizards.
Yeah, that's the thing with conspiracy theories. It's like, it's a conspiracy because there's like not enough kind of facts for you to like pin it down and be like, okay, that's what that is. Yeah.
But how do people go about arguing like flat Earth when there's science out there? Like,
that is a strange one. But I mean, like, close to flat Earth is like the moon landing. Like, if you think about that one, like, it's possible that it could have been faked, like movie studio shit, wires, make them look like they're in a lower gravity space or whatever. But then there's certain things that do exist on the moon. Like they put apparently, I've heard that there's these kind of mirrors or something that you can like point lasers at that kind of prove that there's things being placed there that we can actually interact with on the moon. So there's that. But dude, that would be an easy one to fake. But like the whole flat Earth thing, like, that just seems, I mean, like, even when you saw that was he Swedish or Swiss, the guy that went up and for the Red Bull and did the jump out of the stratosphere?
Austrian
Remember
guy.
that shit? Austrian guy. Yeah. Like, when he went up there, you could check the curvature, like, and it was kind of live. You could follow his kind of ascent all the way to that point, and until he jumped out. And I don't know, like, and there's various imagery from like shit lifting off and going into space, and you can actually see that it's a globe, you know. So I don't know. And
I
also,
suppose some people like need like their beliefs, you know, like to keep their whole shit together, you know. Like if that starts unraveling, then you know their whole perspective or how they interpret the world kind of like starts to crumble, and that's not cool because then they become unstable. And you know, this kind of it's a push though, like, you know. But you know, there's people out there that believe in a lot of weird shit, you know, like, and I think it's not, I think they probably believe that it's, I don't think it's like a question of whether it's true or not. It's probably more about me wanting to not like give up on this, you know, like,
like this has kind of defined you in a way, and like if you lose yeah, totally, if you lose that, then it's like, oh shit, I got to start again, but I'm already 50, you know, like
man, tell me what's going on that side. What's news from good old South Africa?
Sure.
Any crazy things happening recently?
A truck blew over on the weekend. I saw a video of a truck blowing over in the wind.
Jeez.
Yeah, there was some crazy wind, and it's incredibly hot at the moment. Yeah.
That's not bad. Truck blowing over and being incredibly hot. There could be a lot worse things happening.
Yeah, I think there are worse things, but I've been a little bit too busy to like follow the news much. I know there is like I don't want to go back to like the political shit, but I will, yeah. But there's like different like inquiries or whatever going on with like our governments or the previous president and corruption and all that shit, and there's these ongoing inquiries about like, you know, like how state-owned enterprises are like such a bane to, or it's just a drain to our economy, and blah blah.
It's like a never-ending story, right?
Totally, dude. like they can't just privatize shit and fix it. It has to like be this long-winded waste of everyone's time, because like the money you earn is based on your time, so the money is going into this bullshit enterprise, so it's a waste of everyone's fucking time. It really is. Like the most valuable thing to people, like that's what our leaders are currently doing. They're just wasting our time. But yeah, what's going on? Precious. What's going on that side in Munich?
Also been busy. The weather's changing. It's coming into winter now, so yeah, that's quite a big thing. I mean, it's happened so quickly. It's been like 3 weeks, and you know, t-shirts and shorts 3 weeks ago. Now it's like beanies and like gloves. But yeah, it's also cool in a way. Otherwise, things are good this side, man. I can't really complain. Politically, yeah, what's happening in Germany? There was a vote here. People won. People talked about it. I had this impression that a lot of like German people are very like politically active, and this is interesting to me because obviously I don't come from here, but they talk about it a lot, and like I find myself also getting like caught up in like these political news cycles and wanting to like vote, for example. I mean, there's this really cool like they call it the Green Party, which are more kind of aligned with environmental issues as opposed to other issues that other parties are aligned with, and they've seemed to have gotten a lot more supporters, you know, this time around. So that's a good thing.
That's pretty cool, man. I think it's the younger generation having an impact, like, because that matters to the younger generation more, I think.
Oh man, that's the like at the end of the day, those are the people that like kind of are responsible for most of the change, I would say. Like when they start doing things, people like pay attention, like, and they'll do it in a way that like the older generation won't really understand. Like, for example, with technology or whatever, they're a lot more connected than the older generation. So I suppose if you can tap into them that way, if you like running political campaigns or whatever, then fair enough. You're gonna get a lot more like better results than your mainstream like TV posters. But otherwise, I tried boxing. I went for a boxing like little workshop thing, not a workshop, but like for beginners, like a training session. Really cool. There was no actual punching of faces, but just the fitness side of it was really awesome, quite intense.
So what was that like? Like, did you go alone?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of these city-supported kind of like initiatives, and they've got this big building where you can do all kinds of sport. Like, there's gym, there's like yoga, there's swimming, there's wrestling, and because I was considering going to gym, but I thought to myself, having done that before and lost interest pretty quickly, I thought maybe something with like a community would be more motivating for me, where there's like other people that you actually like you partner up with, whereas in a gym you just like you've got your headphones on and you're like in your zone and like don't talk to me, I'm busy pumping iron or whatever. But with most other sports, it's like you've got to be you interact with other people, and I think that's important. So it was quite cool to do that, and I'm hoping to do it again. I mean, it works out quite affordable. And
what was the gym like? Because I mean, you and me once went. We were here in Cape Town, and we were kind of interested in boxing. And I recall we walked to. It was in like a side street, some boxing gym. And I think we got as far as like the stairs, and it was kind of like daunting. Like, like daunting because it's like we're like these, not like I don't know, not very like fighty, boxy, confident oaks in at that time, or we weren't like fit as in like gym fit. Yeah,
this particular boxing. Kind of it's in like the basement of this place, but it's like the walls are just covered with all kinds of posters, like a lot of boxing obviously, but there's also like pin-ups, and like I don't know, movie posters and like old newspaper article cutouts, and you can see that whoever has been running that place has like spent a lot of time there and put a lot of his personality like into the place, but it's got a bit of a like a dingy kind of like old school kind of vibe, which at first can be quite daunting, but because when you go to like fitness studios, it's all very clean and neutral and whatever, and like probably there's somebody that comes in and is like, hey, what's up with this pin-up? It's like you shouldn't portray women in that way, and this guy would probably be like, go fuck yourself, which is cool, because boxing has that kind of like thing to it, like
I know what you're talking about, that kind of grit, that kind of
I mean obviously because you spend your time like trying to punch people in the face and like make them fall down, but I'm not interested in that. I'm more interested in doing some kind of like activity that gets the blood flowing and in a way that I'm like also around other people, to use that as a motivation. I think maybe that's kind of like the secret behind also things like CrossFit, for example, where it's also kind of like a team based, like people kind of push themselves, although that wouldn't be something for me because I don't want like to be shouted at,
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And boxing fit is like, I think it's like a special kind of fitness. Like it's quite intense. Like the training and stuff like that. Like I mean, things like skipping and that it can be quite intense, like intensive.
It is. It's like, I mean, I was there for an hour, and we did a few runs around this boxing club, like a very small, like I said, like in a basement, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you do things like, there's this one exercise where you choose a partner, and then it's basically like, you know, when you slap people's hands, like you hold your hands in front and the other guy's hands are underneath your hands, and you got to like slap on top of his hands.
Like speed.
Yeah.
Like,
and like you have to try and avoid.
Yeah, like a contest. Yeah.
Making contact, but at the same time maintaining eye contact, and then moving around like forward, back. And the guy who is doing the avoiding of his hands being slapped, he has to go where the other guy wants him to go. Like the other guy kind of like wherever he moves, like if he moves back, then that guy has to follow him. And at first it was kind of, the main thing was pretty, I don't know, unusual for me, because it's not every day that I need to maintain eye contact with like a complete stranger.
Yeah.
It wasn't even the physical part about it, but the boxing trainer was very specific, and he was saying like, because this was one of 2 exercises with this eye contact thing.
Yeah.
And at first it was kind of off-putting, because I don't know this guy and I'm making eye contact with him. And for me, you know, eye contact, it's not necessarily something that like I instinctively kind of like search for when it comes to interactions with people. Like obviously greetings, you make sure it's respectful to look people in the eye, you know, and also when you're talking to them or whatever. But this was for the period of that drill, like let's say a minute or a minute and a half, 2 minutes, was pure eye contact with this strange bearded man I'd never met, you know.
Yeah. But that's, you can understand, it's like the reason would be like there's that hand-eye coordination, but using kind of your peripheral vision to...
Definitely. That's what he mentioned, because he said something about like you can judge your like reach better or something, because the other exercise was maintain eye contact, and then with your dominant hand keep that like on your cheek, or if you're left or right-handed, you keep it on that cheek, and with your other hand you try and touch the other guy's shoulder.
Okay.
But at the same time with like moving around, and the eye contact. And I was like, it was really strange at first, but then you slowly get into it, and then there was like that connection, which I would never get at like, you know, the fitness studio, like pumping iron. Although I could get somebody to like, what do you call it when people
like spot you or
spot me, and there could be a lot of eye contact involved there, but I don't know. Cheers, man.
Cheers. Yeah. That's pretty cool, man. It's quite a cool, like different method of training, and I'm sure it'll teach you like, and train you in a very different way to just having a run or as you said, pumping iron at the gym or whatever.
Yeah. I think it's that whole community thing. Like, it might have something to do with it. I'm sure it does. It must. Obviously, there are sports where you want to be alone, like going for a run. You know, you get a lot of good energy that way, like, you know, by yourself, solitary kind of sport. But team sports also rad.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, it's a good thing. Yeah, man. Yeah. I haven't really been doing anything fitness-wise. I took, like, my sister's staying for a few weeks, and she brought her dog Moscow along, and I took the dog for a run the one evening. That's kind of the most I've done fitness-wise, other than walking to or from my desk, you know?
Well, that's cool. I mean, walking the dog is at least... I think it's like, as long as you're enjoying it, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean...
Yeah. I mean, I'm not at a point at the moment, like, you go through those phases where you're like, geez, I really like need to get fit.
Yes.
Or I need to lose a few centimeters or something. But like currently I'm just like I'm semi-conscious of what I'm eating, like not doing too much bread and stuff. I say that and I had like 2 sandwiches today, but like I'm just currently not at a place where I'm like making a concerted effort to lose any kilos or anything like that. I'm quite content, I must say. Like, yeah, I've got a few little projects going on and stuff like that, and they're kind of keeping me busy, and none of them are really physical or anything, but like you get your, like, sometimes I think a big motivator to doing the fitness thing, I'm not saying this is always the case or even the case with you, is like just when you're sitting around like that's when it kind of hits me sometimes, is when I'm not doing much, and then it's like, geez, like I'm kind of just like wasting away on the couch or something, But at the moment there's like enough things going on that are keeping me, even if it's just mentally active or somehow motivated with like the efforts I'm putting into the game of life. Like, I don't know, it's kind of,
oh man, the game of life,
satisfying. Yeah. That
That's
life game.
It has like certain rules, I would say, definitely, and but very loose rules. Like, and a lot of the rules you can interpret it however you want to. But
yeah,
I think what we're talking about right now is like when you're getting some kind of feedback from life or from the universe, which would make you like want to do something, like whether it's get off the couch or go right or whatever, and like if you're not doing that, you don't feel that good.
Yeah.
But if you are doing that, you feel good.
Yeah, and sometimes going for a run is like the change, that kind of like mental or even emotional reward that you get out of something. But if you are getting that elsewhere, even if it's just for a short while or whatever, like, yeah, like you don't necessarily feel that you need to, well, I don't necessarily feel that I need to do that stuff right now. Like, summer's coming and I should get like the summer bod going or whatever, but like at the same time,
no, man, that's all bullshit. Like, for example, like, I mean, at the moment, I thought to myself, I need to be more fit, like I need to move my body more. So this kind of motivated me to seek out certain things like this boxing, for example. Yeah. But I think as long as your mind is like in the right place, you don't even need, like, okay, well, the mind and the body is connected, but I mean, this whole, like, you have to look this way, or this whole industry kind of like dedicated to making people feel bad about themselves, like,
yeah,
you need to look a certain way. It's just bullshit, right? So I mean,
as well as the comparison game, when you're like looking at social media and this person's doing this gym thing and that person's doing some other diet vibe, it's like, hats off to them, but like there's no need to compare and be like, I'm supposed to be like that person. Sorry to interrupt you there, man.
No, for sure, but hats off to you too for like realizing that, because a lot of people don't, so it's like, I think that kind of shows a certain amount of self-esteem, which, like, if you go down and take away the layers, at the end of the day, a lot of people, like, if that's not right, just kind of has the snowball effect with other problems where you like all of a sudden, I need to do this, or but actually you don't. Like if your self-esteem was like where it should be, or then you wouldn't feel the need to do that at all. Yeah. Like, what is the real motivation for you wanting to do things? Like, at the end of the day, it should be like what you like feel is important to you.
Yeah.
And if other people like it, then cool, but that shouldn't be your thing out of the gate. Like, I'm gonna do this to please that person, because that just leads to more, I don't know, emptiness, like all this constant kind of like comparison game.
Yeah. And it kind of like not taking anything away from people that do like pursue that or pursue fitness and stuff like that, because it can be like a really great thing, but like there can become a beast like within a person that like if you feed that beast, like you're gonna have to keep feeding that beast, or else like you're gonna, as you said, like have that feeling of emptiness, like that void that you're trying to like throw something into, and it's constantly needs to be consuming, or else I don't know, maybe it's like similar to like addiction or something like that. Or
definitely that's the word I was looking for, like addiction, because some of these people, they're no different to an alcoholic. The way they go about, like, take runners, for example. Like, it's a beautiful thing. Don't get me wrong. And
I love a run. I do love a run.
I don't want to diss running, or whatever, but I just want to like kind of shine a bit of a light on people that, you know, their whole identity is wrapped up in this activity.
Yeah.
And like, it goes a little bit overboard when you like, if you don't meet a certain goal, you kind of like fall into a depression or whatever, you know, where it should be like a balance thing, you know, like as long as you can, you know, like, I don't know, as long as you still got your health, and then like what is health? But anyway, as long as you're not like, if the doctor says, hey, like your blood work's good, you know, like, I mean, all these other things, although there's that whole like, oh, I'm a winner kind of thing, like I need to push myself, but that's your thing, you know, like go ahead and do that, but don't like try and shove that down other people's throats, you know, like.
Yeah. Like, I mean, not taking away from passions as well. Like running could be someone's passion. Just like you get like surfers that like their passion, their life passion is surfing, and they got to try do that every day because they want that stoke, that feeling, you know, that kind of, it can be really fulfilling, and it can be like that for people who go to the gym or whatever. It's just, I suppose it's about intention, and like if you're doing it for yourself, or if you're doing it because you want some kind of validation, back to the whole social media side of things, you know. Like when it becomes you're not actually feeding the beast of your want, your desire, your passion of fitness, but like more your want and your desire and your passion for validation from other people. Like that's when I think there's a problem, like or not a problem, like maybe that's someone's passion too, but like like I don't know, people must live their lives and be happy, man. Like there's like, you only get one of them, and there's no fucking template that you need to follow.
Exactly. There's no right or wrong way.
Yeah, totally. It's like, yeah, you must find your happiness, like where you can, you know, and
Some
if
guy
if
called-
if
some
your
guy called
happiness is dying young watching series, then like who are we to judge, you know? Yeah, sorry, some guy.
called me an arsehole the other day. Yesterday, actually, in the morning. He's like, arsehole. And he screamed it across the whole street.
Yeah.
And
Were you on foot or?
No, I was on my bike. And,
Okay.
you know, there's this whole rivalry between cyclists and
Yeah.
cars. And, you know, but I can't remember the last time somebody shouted at me and said, hey, arsehole. Or like, no, that was the only word he said. He just said, arsehole. And you're like, it was loud, you know, and like, I thought about it and I was like, well, I'm not an arsehole, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, for some reason he thought I was, but that's his thing, you know, like.
Well, it could be the thing. I don't know what the circumstance was, but like it could be just what you did was an asshole move. Like, I mean, I'm not like a road ragey person, but like if someone does something stupid in a car, which sucks because it's like putting other people's lives at risk because they're late, you know, like what a dick, you know. And like I find myself like really getting quite angry alone in my car, and I get angry at the car and the person in it, but like I don't know who they are. Like they might be like the greatest human ever, you know, and like you're an exceptional human being, and like this guy calling you an arsehole, it's definitely like if you sat down next to him and you guys were both drinking a beer or a coffee or whatever, and you started up conversation, he'd probably be like, yeah, you're actually like a really cool guy, you know? Like,
yeah, but this is the thing. It's like, I mean, I don't think he meant it like in a meaningful way.
yeah,
this was an emotional response that kind of like started in like the pit of his stomach, and it kind of like just came out of his mouth, like,
yeah,
you know, because of an emotional thing. But this is how it starts, you know, because he could go on and carry on being like in a bad mood.
Yeah, definitely.
Way after he says that, he could still be at this moment. He could be like upset about it, or
he's like spoken about his family or about you to his family. He's like this cyclist today, like
yeah, or I could also be like upset about it, you know.
Yeah,
but it's like choosing just to appreciate things for what they are, you know, which was for me just basically it's slight altercation on the roads which happens all the time, and emotions got involved, and that's it. Don't take it personally, you know. So but
do you feel you did something wrong to kind of like deserve that response, or?
Yes, I mean, you know, like it was arsehole behavior which happened.
Yeah.
But, let me explain to you, because it was brought on by arsehole behavior. You know, so
okay.
it was arsehole behavior brought on by more.
So it's kind of reactive.
Yeah. You know, because what happened was there was a green light, and the cyclist in front of me wanted to take the green light, and this guy who later would shout out and call me an arsehole, wanted to turn right. But actually, the cyclist has the right of way. That's where he should have just waited until she went along.
Yeah.
And not cause any problems. So what he was doing, it was like he kind of cut her off.
Mm-hmm.
And she was like, "What are you doing?" And he was like being an arsehole about it and just wanted to like drive through, but he didn't. And I saw this, and this is like, once again, this is when emotions come into it. I didn't really, you know, you don't have time to like pause and think about this. But I thought to myself, you know, fuck this guy. That's like my fellow cyclist, part of my community, you know, like I'm going to show him. Because at this point, I thought the light was still green, but it had turned red. So like I drove like I took the other lady, like she drove off, and I took her place very quickly, and I slowed down, thinking the light was green, and I like I slowed down like by 80% and just like pressed the brakes and like took my time to go.
It's like, look what I'm doing.
And
I'm doing this for you.
Yeah, and I totally understand why that is arsehole behavior, because it was red for me, so I had no legal leg to stand on. But anyway, this is how things escalate. The whole point of the story is to like just appreciate it for what it is, and like not get too kind of upset about it after the event happens. Because I think with anger, that also has a tendency to kind of like stagnate and pool in your ness for like way after the actual
for sure
happened.
Like the events passed, and I mean, I'll do that with like a minor argument. I'll be like at home that night, like thinking like I could have said this, like, but then that would have been said, and then I could have said this. You have these like ongoing kind of add-ons to how things could have gone, which mean nothing. Like you can't go relive that moment.
It's like it doesn't matter. Fuck it. How long have we been going for? So I mean, what's it been, like a good hour, huh?
Yeah, I think so, bro. Yeah. Just back to Jamal Khashoggi. Like,
oh fuck,
pretty crazy that this is going on. Like you said, it's kind of like a like you'd see this kind of shit in a movie, like with 15 dudes going and like they went in there with a bone saw. Like that's been repeatedly stated. There was intent, like to kind of end this guy's life. But this Jamal Khashoggi guy, like it sounds like the world has kind of lost a hero in this journalist. Like he was, I believe this has occurred because he was speaking out against the kind of Saudi like that kind of regime that's going on there. He was like a strong critic of theirs, and it is like extremely sad that he is that they've like ended his life, man. And like he was going to that Saudi consulate to get some marriage papers, and his fiance was waiting in the car outside, and like the dude has kids, and like as much as this is like this media story and like this political bullshit like that goes on in the background, and then there's going to be this whole long trial and everything, like it's like extremely sad that a Euro leaving behind like so much potential, like goodness and like other lives, like in his wake. It kind of sucks.
It sucks a lot, and it's also very kind of heartbreaking when you think about this is one life. But I think if you could take something out of it, I hope that this meaningless death is going to have some kind of chain reaction, which is going to end up changing something for the good. And I'm hoping that more lives will be either protected or the loss of life will be avoided from this thing that has happened. And that makes him like, not only a hero, but a martyr. But I mean, seriously, like this didn't need to happen, like this is, and this is why, I think this is why it's just building up this with like the more, as the days progress, where, I think what this guy is banking on, these news cycles, they kind of like peter out and then something new happens.
Yeah.
But I think this has the potential to escalate into like a serious worldwide political thing. This guy, the death of this guy is gonna shake up the political system as we know it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you'd hope so. Yeah.
Talking about like this arms deal, or talking about Turkey, Saudi Arabia, this has the potential to change the game. And like, at the end of the day, there needs to be consequences.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, yeah.
Like, if you believe in that. But I mean, a pessimist would say, well, nothing's going to come of this.
Yeah.
Which I hope is not the case. And condolences to the Khashoggi family, and like, everybody that's been affected by his death. And this is just outrageous. Like, people also, like, they're very quick to bring up the let's say the deaths or the tragic circumstances of a lot more other people that are affected by the Saudi regime, especially what's happening in Yemen. And they say, well, this has been happening in Yemen for a long time. It hasn't gotten this reaction in the West, especially in the media. So why is it happening now just because of this guy? And I understand what they're saying, and but nobody knows for certain how these things work. Like, it takes a certain, like, the straw that broke the camel's back. And like, I'm thinking this could have a direct effect on what is happening in Yemen and other places where people's human life is being taken and just treated inhumanely by this powerful what would you call it, regime? Monarchy, to be I think correctly, it is one of the last absolute monarchies. So that needs to change.
Like, I mean, that shit is happening in multiple countries, though not like the high profile connection killing, but like, just human rights abuses, I guess. And I don't know, one can be pessimistic about it and feel that like that shit won't change. But I suppose every kind of shedding of light like has the potential to bring someone powerful, or not someone powerful, but someone that can promote some kind of change, like into the kind of whole situation. Like, even if it's some youngster that's only like leaving university now, and like, but he has these things that he wants to do, like something like this could like encourage them to be proactive in a way and like do some good for the world as a whole. I don't know.
No, for sure. And definitely, this, whoever is responsible for this needless killing will end up ruining the day, I think, because this is going to change. This is going to shake up their whole power structure that they got going. And I mean, and rightfully so, because the arrogance of it.
Yeah,
it's I'm speechless. Like, I can't really imagine how this could happen, but it just also, like, takes me back down to reality and like, the capabilities of humans, like, never underestimate what humans are capable of.
Yeah.
I mean, good and bad,
Yeah. Like someone who isn't connected to power or like politics couldn't get away with something like this. But it's just so weird that, like,
it's so weird
how money and power can allow someone to get away with the shit, and if they just keep denying it, then it's fine. They get away with it. And if it was a dude that's unconnected, as I said, like, he'd be fucked. he'd already be fucked. Like, but because it's some high profile dude, it's like, this is gonna drag on for ages because, yeah, he's got too many anchors preventing him, like, being moved or whatever. But like politics, man, it's like it's such a soap opera. Like, it's crazy. Like, it kind of sucks to follow in a way. Like, it can be interesting, and like it's good to like be aware of what leaders are doing, what people who like come up with and enforce policies and stuff are doing. But like, it just seems like, I don't know, 70% of the time it's utter bullshit, and like they're just kind of self-serving wankers, and everyone else is paying for that, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you, but to a certain extent, because I think this will prove that, like, you know, like, it's just this one guy, you know, like Trump said, just this one journalist, you know, but it's just like one vote, really. Like, it's kind of similar, and like, I think it's so easy these days to be like disillusioned by just like scam politics. And, you know, when you see the posters and everything, it's just like a commercial, you know, and it's like a smiley face, and it's like, you just come across as like, you don't have any kind of like credibility, you know, like, so that's your whole thing. You're going to take a picture of you smiling and like in a studio, and then you got like a little slogan underneath, and that's going to get you votes. And most of the time it does, you know, like,
totally.
They've been using this method for ages, and it just shows how...
You're right. Advertising, it's like McDonald's. It's a fucking cheeseburger. That's what they're offering you.
Like, and it just shows how powerful like the visual thing is with humans, you know. It's like, there doesn't have to be much substance to it, but if he's got his like party line right, or like just like the face kind of like works with whatever the layout of the poster is, like, that might be like the persuading factor in somebody's vote, you know. But what else do we have other than like being kind of like being the change we want to see in the world, or whatever Gandhi said? But the vote, like, it's an important thing to have, and that's like something, you know, like, at the end of the day, with this whole Brexit thing, for example, like, it's also like a whole new weird thing that, like, the power of the people, they go and they have votes, so they vote, and now they're not happy, and now it's like, well, we're not going to vote again now because we're not happy and we were duped by these politicians. But where does it end, you know? So not to change topics or whatever, but we can talk about Brexit in another podcast. But just wanted to say that your vote, like, these people that voted to leave Brexit and being apparently duped by politicians also have the responsibility to check this shit out, you know, before they vote. Like, that's how powerful a vote is.
Apparently, like, one of the top Google searches after the vote happened was like, what is Brexit? So people were like researching it after voting. It's crazy.
But R.I.P. Jamal Khashoggi, and I hope that this leads to something good.
Hopefully.
And condolences to his family and all those that are affected by his death, and
may it not be in vain.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this goes and what it leads to. I hope it's not just going to be like a standard scapegoat payoff.
Anyway, it's been a really awesome chat, man. Like, I'm glad we got to break
14.
the curse of 13. Yeah.
I'm glad we got off of 13 and we're on to 14. And yeah, man.
I must say, I'm really looking forward to seeing your art for this one.
I haven't been doing any of it since episode 13, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, but if you have a re-listen and you grab some of those whatever images that pops into your brain and give us some magic. Yeah. Jeez. Yeah. Fuck it. Boxing. Fucking, we touched on a lot of things. DT. Yeah. Cheeseburgers. So
thanks for listening, guys. And Dane, as always, it's been a real pleasure. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to express myself through this medium with you over the interwebs like this.
Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I feel the same. And thanks for listening, guys. We'll catch you on number 15.
Bye.
Boy.